feel like we can be heard.
How about that?
Oh.
Better?
Is that better? It looks like we're talking now. Hey, audio guy, can we get something? Friday 420 today. We're doing Bruce Juice.
Bruce Juice?
With a G, Uise, right?
No.
Nope.
Spelled just like the juice.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, this conversation 3 times.
Correct.
J-U-I. All right. Okay. Well.
I-C-E. Yeah.
What else are we talking about? Social anxiety and
edibles.
Edibles.
Yes.
And social. I think we should just keep going since our guy can't tell us anything. Hello.
Okay.
Hello, audio guy. Are you out there? Are you out there? I might text him just to make sure.
Okay.
Well, why don't you start on our thing?
The first thing that I thought we'd talk about today, and actually I realized that now I don't even have it up.
It's okay. I am right now texting our audio guy saying we need an audio guy confirmation to make sure that the rest of you can hear.
See, watch movie. All right. So the
what is it you want to talk about today, my love?
We're talking about the stigma that, you know what? I keep getting these pop-ups. So we'll be right back.
Okay, can you don't end the stream.
No, I'm going to end the stream. I'm going to start it right back up.
Don't. Can you please listen to me? Don't end the stream. Just allow it to process. We can cut it in post, okay? I'm telling you that the internet has gone wacko, particularly today.
Yeah.
Everyone I know has had problems with the internet, but the geostorms I really think are messing with us, and we're going to have more geostorms I think this weekend and into the beginning of next week. So if you're in the upper hemisphere and you think you might get a chance to see the northern lights, now would be the time to check it out, because that's what's going on. You got a little thing here. It says something.
I do. Some updates could not be installed because Google Chrome did not quit. Quit Google Chrome and try again.
We don't need to do updates. Just cancel it right now.
It's not going to work.
Just play the thing.
Okay.
Oh, the audio guy. The chat is not working. However, audio is good. Chat's not working. We could take a minute to figure it out.
All right. I'm going to just pause it for a second on my end. There you go.
Can you continue working?
I'm going to continue working.
So he's going to continue working. And so we didn't have just dead air. I am going to fill a space. So can I tell you, even though my better half would like to keep this out.
Okay. There we go.
Political arena. Can I tell you that at 4:20 yesterday, the jury came in. And those who know. But it happened specifically at 4:20.
I can't do this. It's not working.
So Mr. Weedley has a video that
No, it's not a video.
What is it?
Oh, well, yeah. It's
a video and because we're learning here, I don't think we downloaded it yet. Are you able to share it before you download it?
I'm trying real hard to find.
This is very good for working on being present, deep breathing, all that stuff.
Okay, there we go.
Now, I have to tell you that I grew up on Reefer Madness and the ridiculousness that it was. And it is free. I do remember that when I was in college a bajillion years ago, I had to go and find the VHS tape. And one of my very favorite people, my roommates, made me a tape because I had to leave college. Other long story. But anyway, made me a tape with all the college songs and then like intros and outros. And a lot of them were from Reefer Madness. And it looks like Mr. Weedley might have it ready.
I do. The reason we're talking about Reefer Madness is because one of the things that's been coming up a lot lately that I've been seeing is something called Cannamoms and the stigma they face. So parents who use marijuana often face stigma. as a parent who uses frequently, I know that there's hesitation on my end from letting everybody know because of the stigma. What are your thoughts?
On the Cannamoms situation.
Yes.
So it sounds to me a lot like a decade ago, maybe less, when we were talking about moms and they were calling it mommy juice and it meant wine. And I was like rolling my eyes and like, are you kidding me? What, do you want to give me a high five?
What they said in this article.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Totally.
Awesome.
They're
Okay.
talking about the yeah.
I'm not saying
wine.
that's okay. So I don't know what this article is. A lot of Mr. Wheatley's things is he likes to drop this on me in real time and see my reaction. So my interest is in what we can do to make the changes that we need to make, because obviously if a decade ago we were talking about, okay, no one's talking about drinking and driving, no one's talking about alcohol abuse, no one's talking about any of that. But if a mother could not have a glass of wine and that was looked down upon, I don't really understand that. So in the same way that if once the kids are in bed, you want to smoke a J, go for it. And it seems that the legality of the whole situation is moving towards my thoughts on the matter versus it being a total ban. So what do you have for us, Mr. Wheatley?
So let's just look at some of the things that have created the stigma in the marijuana culture. So I'm going to show you just a little. This is the beginning of Reefer Madness. And the reason I'm showing you is because this was shown, correct me if I'm wrong, Mrs. Wheatley, this was shown across.
I never saw this like in an educational
not as
setting,
a kid.
I mean.
No,
never.
No.
First of all, they would never put anything black and white in front of us as children and be like, this is real life here. We were past that in the 80s, which is something for us to ponder later, that the children of the 80s weren't willing to look at black and white TV as up
real.
To date.
Yeah.
And that's interesting. But this was, I believe, in the 50s, late 50s, early 60s. 6, I'm wrong.
Meeting tonight. School Parents Association.
Must be stopped. You and all the school parent groups about the country, and you must stand united on this and stamp out this frightful assassin of our youth. You can do it by bringing about compulsory education on the subject of narcotics in general, the dread marijuana in particular. That is the purpose of this meeting, ladies and gentlemen, to lay the foundation for a nationwide campaign by you to demand by law such compulsory education. Because it is only through enlightenment
speed this up, maybe,
that this scourge can be wiped out. Out of the traffic in these drugs, a lawlessness that we can scarcely estimate has grown and is now flourishing. It exists in almost every city and hamlet in the country. It might be interesting and important for you to know some of the methods used in bringing these drugs into the country, and the work of the forces of law and order, which are daily combating the traffic, always at the risk of life by their agents. This ceaseless fight.
So the reason I put that part is because that's the head of the parent association, and so what he was really just going over was like this epidemic crisis that's across the nation, and it needs to be educated. Parents need to be educated, and we need to stop the marijuana.
But before you go on, this 1936 narrative seems to go very well with what I learned was the reason for cannabis becoming illegal in the first place. Did I ever tell you that story?
No.
So the story I was told, and I have yet to research it deeply enough to be able to say, hey, this is factual. But the story I was told was when Prohibition ended, there were a few men who needed a job, and they did not want their men And literally, when I say men, I mean men, because at that point, what they thought was, if we fire these men working against prohibition, their families are going to go into poverty. That was the reality. So instead of firing these men, they figured out something to make illegal that they could work on. And this was their big first production of that.
Coming out of prohibition.
Coming out of prohibition, cannabis would be illegal. Those, I heard it was 13 people, but I don't know if it was how many jobs it was. It was like a office, 10 people, but 10 families when you think of it that way. So they made this whole thing in 1936.
And this is I just think this is funny. This is the guy.
Back room. That's not a cigarette he's smoking, it's a doobie.
Watching this. Real into
You're squeezing your butt enough.
Yeah.
Oh, Jimmy,
Oh, even the dogs heard it.
Okay.
All right, dogs.
Okay.
Thank you. We're all set.
So it goes through. The Reefer Madness is actually a story about a kid who runs a guy over, and at the end, there's a whole thing where
someone jumps out a window, doesn't? Don't they?
I'm getting to the part where they jump out the window because that's what people do.
Because that's what people who are high do all the time, jumping straight out those windows.
Yeah, here it is. Right, hold on. No, I just moved it. No, I missed it. This is the part that oh, no, just kidding. Here she is. There's a whole court case.
Tell your children.
That's what I'm getting to. Hold on. The real reason okay, so the movie ends, and this is what they.
This is how they end.
This is how they end the movie.
1936. Remember, people go to the movies on the regular. Most of them do not have TVs. They pay, I don't know, a nickel to go to the movies. And this is how the movie ends.
The defense, as well as counsel for the state, seem to agree on this. I see no reason why the request should not be granted.
Yes, that happened right here, to your neighbors. It is not too much to say that in your hands lies the possibility of averting other tragedies like it. We must work untiringly so that our children are obliged to learn the truth, because it is only through knowledge that we can safely protect them. Failing this, the next tragedy may be that of your daughter, or your son, or yours, or yours, or yours.
Tell your children.
Or your.
So, I think that we're coming out of.
Preposterous.
It really is preposterous. We're coming out of that now, but there's this whole thing of parents using and microdosing and things like that. So I just thought it was important to look at, all right, so this is where it started. How far have we come now where it's being used regularly?
First of all, most people who are using it regularly, other people don't know.
Right.
I mean, we're not smoking doobies and bowls and blunts, and there are lots of other ways to get the cannabis and to get the positive effects of the cannabis. And as there have been more dispensaries that have opened and more growers, and it's just become more and more of options for those of us who use cannabis as a medication but don't necessarily want to smell like it or be toking up at the PTO. It's not a good look. So Mr. Weedley wanted to talk about Cannamoms. And I got to tell you, when I just think about a decade ago when women were talking about drinking wine and it being mom juice, and I want to roll my eyes as far back in the head as I can. And so I just, no patience for that, truthfully. But where are we going next, Mr. Weedley?
We are going to Okay, so I got this great video because never have I ever felt something from an edible.
That's preposterous.
And really, well, you know, I've eaten edibles before, and I just don't. Maybe I'm thinking that I'm something
It's
else is going to
420,
happen.
Mr. Wheatley.
Holy shit!
We were gonna miss our bowl.
Pause.
Pause. Everything has to pause. It's 4:20 Eastern Standard Time on Friday, and of course, we're here for Friday 4:20. I'm glad I caught it. We are smoking something. Bruce juice.
Yes, it's called Bruce Juice. It's Bruce Banner crossed with black cherry gelato. And the reason that I chose this one for this week is for the black cherry gelato. When I was speaking to the grower, I was talking about what would help pain, stomach, mood, anxiety, like all those things. And he pointed to this Bruce juice, which is Bruce Banner and black cherry gelato. And I said, well, the black cherry gelato is going to be great for your stomach.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy said, yeah, because it's got a lot of CBG and a lot of CBN.
Ah, CBG, the mother of all cannabinoids. So black cherry gelato is a hybrid weed strain. So now we're talking about things that are in the grandfather type, grandmother type. Like it's not one generation, it's two. If you got two hybrid strains, then you're talking about something that's coming out in different proportions than an original hybrid, if that makes sense.
Which is where you get your phenotypes 1 and 2 and things like that.
Made by crossing a cotton.
Acai.
You see it, acai?
Mm-hmm.
Acai with black cherry funk. The effects of black cherry gelato are more calming than energizing. Reviewers on Leafly who have smoked the strain say it makes them feel aroused, hungry, and focused. Black cherry gelato is 22% THC, making it an ideal choice for new and experienced cannabis consumers. The dominant terpene, and we're big on terpenes here, a black cherry gelato is pinene, which is often associated with pine forest aromas. Reviewers tell Leafly the strain tastes like berries with sweet apricot undertones. Medical marijuana patients often buy this strain during mild episodes of depression, stress, and cramps. Oh, the cramps in the stomach. That makes a lot of sense. The original breeder of the black cherry gelato is currently unknown.
So that's half of it.
Okay, so half of it is cherry with undertones of, what did they say? Apricot and
the taste
pine
is going to be
forest,
complete. The taste
course.
is going to be completely
but that's
different.
half of it.
But half of it's this black cherry gelato, which is high in CBG, which is what's going to help you in your stomach.
And the other half is Bruce Banner, also known as Banner or OG Banner, which is also a hybrid weed strain. It's a dense nug, and the THC content that packs a punch. Bruce Banner might be best known as the alter ego of the comic book hero, the Incredible Hulk, of course, but maybe he wouldn't be so stressed out if he had some of his namesake weed. That was lame. Okay, Bruce Banner is potent, averaging a 21% THC level. If you're new to smoking Bruce Banner, expect the effects to be strong and to come on quickly before dissipating into a euphoric and creative high. I like the creative one.
Mm-hmm.
The effects of Bruce Banner will linger in the head and may provide body relaxation. Bruce Banner is a bud best enjoyed during the daytime. The strain was originally bred by Dark Horse Genetics from a cross of OG Kush. Oh, you know I like that Kush, right?
Mm-hmm.
OG Kush and Strawberry Diesel. See, and I'm not a big Diesel fan, but
You wouldn't think so, but you are.
But I like the pain, like the
pain that comes from diesels.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Bruce Banner bud offers a diesel aroma with sweet undertones. The strain does have 3 main phenotypes, one of which is Bruce Banner number 3, the dominant terpene of Bruce Banner.
Is myrcene.
There you go.
And so this is the head part of the strain we're smoking.
And
so
what
this
we're smoking
strain
is
has
so new that there isn't a
Yeah, this is just something that
That
this
someone-
grower came up with.
This particular grower.
Mhm.
So like we looked for information on it of the combination of the two, and we're gonna have to make it up as we go. So we're taking the two parents
Mhm.
and we're giving you the information. I can taste the berries.
Okay.
Can you taste the berries?
No, but I can sense the Bruce Banner, and I can sense the black cherry gelato because I noticed my stomach is very relaxed. Well, my head is.
The dogs. The dogs.
All right, guys. All right.
Please hold for a second. Where do we go next, Mr. Woodley?
I'm gonna redo this. All right. So
Never have I ever. What is it?
never have I ever eaten an edible and felt anything.
Oh yeah, we talked about this.
Right.
I don't
Now-
believe you.
You may not believe me, but I'm telling you, there's not much that happens when I eat an edible. And I don't know why. You've said the same thing. We've thought it was your gallbladder. We've thought it's this. We thought it's that. There's lots of hypotheses and theories. The cool thing is this video that I found, this girl really breaks it down well. It's a 9-minute video, so I'm going to speed it up. So she's going to talk a little faster, but the content's really good. So we'll try to make it all the way through it if we can.
If you've ever taken an edible product and realized it didn't work and you never felt high, here are 3 reasons why you may not be feeling the effects of edibles. And before we get going, if everyone wants to get their favorite relaxing beverage, today I'm going to be drinking masala chai. We can relax and have this conversation together. So the first theory that I'm going to propose, and I'm saying theory because nothing here has been absolutely solidified by science. These are just theories that people are contemplating based on the evidence that we do have. So the first has to do with how you metabolize that edible. So remember, no matter if you're eating a special brownie or a cheeseburger, your body needs to process whatever that is that you just ate. So that includes your liver actually using enzymes, which are like little machines in your body. Your liver uses enzymes to convert those active molecules, in this case, we're talking about THC, to convert them in a form that's easier to excrete or to get out of the body, okay? So there's multiple steps here. And the first step is your liver is going to convert THC to a different molecule called 11-hydroxy-THC. Now, this molecule is thought to actually be a little bit stronger than regular delta-9 THC found in the plant. And that's why some people sometimes feel really, really unexpectedly high from edibles. But in this case, what we're going to focus on is that not everybody's liver enzymes are working properly, and not everyone has the exact same liver enzymes.
I just want to stop there really quickly because Mrs. Wheatley, you said maybe I don't feel because of my enzymes. I wondered the same thing. I was like, because as this girl's talking, I said, well, maybe it's because my enzymes, because I did have an enzyme thing when I was younger.
When you were younger.
So,
And
but
I have a familial enzyme.
enzyme thing. So it could be enzymes. She gets a little
Liver
in the
enzymes.
in the weeds here, so I'm gonna skip ahead a hair.
Yeah. It's almost time to feed the dogs, so they're getting a
Yes.
little restless. Our pups
Yes, they're getting restless. All right.
are.
Number
Okay, so
2.
This is so good. Okay.
For your body to absorb the THC. So in this case, I think many people don't think it really matters how you take your cannabis edible. So if you take it on an empty stomach or a full stomach, doesn't really matter. That's not true. We actually do have recent data, which I'm going to show on the screen here, that we absorb cannabis.
No, but guys, this really matters. Honest to God. Like, this is like taking a pill on an empty stomach versus, hey, have a meal before you take whatever, the steroid or whatever. So it matters. And it
interesting, yeah.
has to deal with when the pill is being broken down or whatever cannabis you've taken that's being broken down. What are the carriers? How does it get into your blood? And the different, I know this from science, that's where we're going, but this is really important because if you don't have the right transportation, forget about it.
Cannabinoids. This data is for CBD, but it is definitely thought that this is translatable to THC as well because they are similar fatty molecules. So your body absorbs the cannabinoids better when taken with a fatty food. So we're going to talk about why that is. So when our body takes in an edible product, it needs to process it in order to be properly absorbed in our small intestine. So our body's going to do this by creating these structures called micelles. And micelles are what I like to think of as like little balls that are going to encapsulate those active molecules, the cannabinoids, in order to be absorbed better so that they can be processed and we can feel the effects better. Now, these micelles are made of various components, and some of these components are made when we're ingesting anything. So if we eat a string cheese or an apple or whatever, our body's going to produce some components of this. And then other components of these micelles are only produced when we eat fatty foods. So in theory, if we eat more fat with that edible, we're able to produce more of these micelle structures, which allows it to be absorbed into the small intestine better. However, this is kind of a bell curve. If you eat too much fatty foods, it might actually inhibit the absorption of these molecules. So think of it as like eating a slice of pizza or something to that quantity rather than a whole pizza when you're about to take an edible product. Now, a question I get.
Sorry, I stopped here because this was the thing that really solidified this video for today's episode, because we've talked about this, and I actually asked somebody at a dispensary about this probably 3 or 4 years ago, and it was all about, well, they don't have a gallbladder. That's part of the reason. Do you remember me telling you this?
Yes.
Yeah. So check it out.
So, but can I just also add that this is why they put it in butter. This is why the original way that we put it in our edibles is by boiling it down and putting it actually in the fat, because it is transported within the fat. But you can't have too much of the fat because then it overwhelms it. So it's a balance, and I think it's a particular balance for people. Like, you have to figure it out.
Correct.
Get asked all the time is, can you still feel edibles if you don't have a gallbladder? And this answer is definitely complicated. I get a lot of yeses and a lot of nos. But essentially, the theory behind this is some people don't feel edibles if they don't have a gallbladder, because the purpose of the gallbladder is to release bile into the small intestine, and that's going to help with fat absorption and digestion. So if you don't have a gallbladder, the way of processing fats is definitely going to be impaired, but it's not going to just completely stop you from being able to feel edibles. So one thing, many people who don't have a gallbladder are taking digestive enzymes like lipase, and this is going to allow you to absorb fats better. Not only this, but our liver can directly release some of these bile salts right into the small intestine so that we don't need the gallbladder in order to process fats.
Sorry, she just starts to get more in the weeds, and I'm trying not to bore people. So
Interesting.
Gallbladder, yeah, it's the absorption in the small intestine and stuff, but it's possible to rectify it. Yes.
Right. And that is what we've come to, but it's taking us 5 years or so to figure this out. And it was, I mean, I can remember presenting myself at multiple pharmacies in multiple states going, why isn't this working for me? And I can't believe I just heard, like, really it might be because they took my gallbladder out. And so the way I was taking it was a regular person taking it, and I needed to adjust it.
Correct.
Amazing.
Producing their edibles at dispensaries. This one has to do with people who are producing their edibles at home. So people who are producing their edibles at home are probably, hopefully, familiar with a process called decarboxylation. Decarboxylation is a process where we heat the cannabis in an oven, and this is going to activate our cannabis. So what do we mean by activate? What we mean is that the plant is actually producing these molecules in what we call the acidic form. So they contain an acid group on that molecule. We need to remove that acid group, which you can see circled here in red. And when we remove that acid group, that molecule has been activated. It's much more psychoactive. It's much more available in our bodies, and we're going to feel the effects from it. So if you're making edibles at home, an absolutely key necessary part of that production is to decarboxylate your flower in the oven. There's now different products that you can use to decarb your flower, such as the Ardent, which I use. But if you do not decarboxylate your product correctly, your product is going to be inactive or just non-psychoactive. And you also need to make sure that you're infusing your product in a proper medium, like a butter or an oil or something fatty that can actually take up those molecules, and they can be solubilized, and then you can bake with them and make other products with them. So definitely make sure, if you're making your own edibles and you can't feel the effects from them, but you do feel the effects from dispensary edibles, definitely look into your process and make sure you're properly activating those compounds correctly. And then hopefully you can solve that problem. One other kind of just side theory I'll talk about is even your gut microbiota may play a role in how you feel edibles. For instance, some gut microbiota can change molecules and render them inactive or active before they're even reaching circulation. This is definitely just a theory, but it's something to think about because we really don't know why exactly some people don't feel edibles, but it is definitely unfortunate. And I would recommend people who don't feel edibles to try out other products such as nano-emulsified products. So like beverages, those ones are made with a different technology that can kind of pass by some of these issues that we're talking about, and you may still feel the effects from
Nano-emulsified. I think that's important.
How does it- I don't
Pause
know.
it.
Got it.
There we
Done.
go. Okay. So the nano, the
Emulsify.
emulsification, nano emulsification, right?
Mhm.
With the patch, with the cream, with the
Those are all transdermal, though. They're talking about taking it with a liquid. So the liquid,
stuff that I put in my tea. Are they talking about like the drips the drops that I would already
that you
do,
would put
or
into something, or the drinks that they've come out with the THC in them, the CBD, because it goes directly into your
lower intestine, right?
Right, it goes right into the stomach lining and all that stuff, and into the intestines, rather than having to be broken down.
Right.
So,
Interesting.
very interesting.
But see, as a continuation, the emulsification alone could be not a symptom, but something that you're looking for to help a symptom. The symptom would be I'm not feeling my edibles. And if you are like me, and honest to God, you could just eat edibles till the sky come home and or to the cows come home and you feel nothing, then maybe there's something to it, because there are other ways I can get it where it does have the effect I need.
Mhm.
And how much have we spent on edibles? But my body doesn't process it that way.
Mhm.
So it's,
So
what's our symptom?
actually, it goes along with edibles, because some people actually take edibles for their social anxiety. I thought today we'd do a little quick discussion. I didn't find any articles or any videos or anything. I just thought maybe just a little back and forth about social anxiety, because a lot of people have social anxiety and they use cannabis to quote unquote treat it. And one of the things that I've read about a different topic is that shoot, I just forgot. So I started thinking about that other topic. Sorry, ADD moment. All right, it'll come back to me.
Let me go.
Yeah.
So while you were talking, I was thinking about alcohol and how alcohol can be the way you said it. The way you said it.
Were talking, I just
No.
thought about drinking.
No, the way you said it made me think about the way people in my childhood spoke about drinking, right? And we know, I mean, they've changed all the disorders. I mean, you're not an alcoholic anymore. It's alcohol abuse syndrome. It's cannabis abuse syndrome. So there's more. I'm not saying you're not an alcoholic. I'm not saying it's not real. Please. That's not what I meant by that. I meant that what we're seeing is as more of a disordered type thing. So there is a for lack of a better word, a spectrum. There's a spectrum of people, and you don't have to misuse it, and you don't have to get to you could end up misusing it a little bit, and you can correct it, because it's not necessarily the way we have thought about addiction in the past, specifically as it comes to marijuana. Right. So that's why I can't compare the two, because you can't get physical. I mean, you can become physically, what's the word? Dependent on it, but not addicted to it in the same way you are addicted, not
to
you,
other
but
substances.
other people are addicted to other substances.
But that brings up, and we're kind of going off on the tangent for a second here, but it kind of goes along with just vice in general. Things that you do over
more than you should, for lack of a better way to say it. If it's a vice, you're doing it more than you need to.
It
right?
could be exercise, it could be food, it could be marijuana, it could be alcohol,
It could be coffee. I had a few years where it was coffee.
Yeah, I remember those days.
People used to joke that I was never without my coffee.
But
I had young kids.
Now,
yep,
so.
I had young kids at the time, and it was like, listen.
So everybody has their thing that they, you have to be aware of the balance, I guess is the point. So I want to just bring it back to the social anxiety, because the symptom today is, well, what is social anxiety? Let's just talk about that first. What would you consider social anxiety? How would you define it?
It's a big topic for me. So I'm just going to go with regular people, not my own. Okay. So I think regular people's social anxiety is coming to a new place, meeting new people, not being sure of the crowd, not being sure how you'll be accepted, making sure you are dressed in an appropriate way to be received by these people, making sure that you know enough about the information of whatever these people are going to be talking about that you can hold a conversation with them, whether it be work or personal. Like, I think that's the balance, is that you're trying to hold a conversation with someone and interact with them in a way that's meaningful. And
right. And so it's the fear of that, would you say?
Of all of those things.
Correct.
Of who's going to be there. What am I walking into? Oh my goodness. Will it be dark? Will it be light? No. Me personally, I deal with a lot of my social anxiety by carrying a bag around. Right?
Okay.
Because if I'm cold or if I'm hot, if it's too light, if it's too dark, I have these things that are challenges to me, correct? And I can't be social if those needs of mine are not met. So people give me a hard time about carrying a backpack with me. But why do I carry a backpack?
So that you have the things you need when you need them. So
that I can be social, right?
Right.
And I'm not overly distracted about being too cold or being too this. And because these needs are, for me personally, get very severe very quick, I need to make sure I have those things. And if I can just put a sweater on, I'm good. Right?
For me, social anxiety is the fear of not fitting in. The things you were talking about, but also not fitting in and not being part of the group. And I think that cannabis helps that, because I know what I'm looking for from my cannabis. Back when I was a kid, back when we were kids, they didn't have different kinds of strains. They didn't have different types. It wasn't sativa.
By kids, we mean young adults. We call them kids, but they're not really kids. They are young adults.
Young adults. And I just remember, not being able to handle my shit and having to walk out of places. So that was not helping my social anxiety at all.
Interesting.
However,
I can't ever remember that.
Oh my God. I'll tell you a story sometime about Dunkin' Donuts.
I've heard the Dunkin' Donuts story.
It was funny as shit. And so, now we've done so much more research and we've come so far in the genetics of the plant that now we have certain types. Like, if I'm anxious, I'm going to take a certain type of cannabis, probably in a certain way. I'm probably going to hit a pen, once or twice, but it's going to be a sativa for me, because that's what's going to slow down and relax the thoughts and everything.
And so you hit the pen once, twice, and then what happens? You get to what?
Get to move on.
So you just do it and then you get to move on. And so, and that goes back to the Cannamoms, is we're not talking about people getting stoned.
Right.
We're not talking about people, we're talking about people who you have no idea are even using it. And what I have found is that the more open I am about it, the more I find that
Everybody's
it's
doing
very normal, shall we say,
prevalent.
that that it's something that's not what's the word, to be like ousted from a social circle. Like it's not something that you would
Exiled.
be exiled for anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Now you would in certain groups, but it's becoming less and less. And I know personally, I'm able to be more open than I have ever thought I would be about it. And part of that is laws and that things have changed, and things are changing in the United States as far as like not just state law, but federal law. And something we were going to talk about was mailing marijuana, but we'll talk about that in time to come.
It could be a video on itself, because that is interesting. But
it's different. It's not like it used to be. It's not like in the 60s where you'd smoke a doobie between you and a couple friends. It's different.
Right.
It's a medication now. It's being used to treat something, and it's being used to treat something at a dosage. And I think that's very important, whether it's one hit of a certain strain or someone taking a capsule or someone taking an edible, or it's not
like a gummy could really help that social anxiety. You just have to know how that gummy is going to interact with your body, how long it's going to take, how much it's going to, but
or if you're like me, you could eat a pack of gummies and not feel anything and be like, what the hell's going
on? Why do edibles not work? So this has been a pretty, even though it's been thrown together, this has been a pretty tied up. And
let us know if you know that like this was like thrown together last minute. I'd like to know.
Well, there is somebody extra watching us. They left.
Oh no! We had one person watching. Now they're gone. It was probably our audio guy, but that's okay because this is only our week 5. We're getting there, and we're actually going out tonight, hopefully, to a little event.
And we're going to be sharing more about Use My Bud. Announcement for Use My Bud. I have a lot of seeds that I'm planning on germinating. And I thought that I would use the website as just a video blog.
Oh, absolutely.
Of what we're doing.
A video blog and a little show and tell.
Right. Of what's going on as it goes.
Because I bought Mr. Wheatley, 2 Christmases ago now?
No, just one.
Was it last Christmas?
No, it was 2 Christmases.
2 Christmases. Right. 2 Christmases ago, a tent, like a full-on grow lab, right? And we have been saving our seeds because you don't get them like we used to 20 years ago now.
Now they cost, 10 seeds cost $100.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're expensive, but dude,
we've been saving them.
Tons of seeds. I got
we
them
think
from
we
medical
have tons.
No, I do. I've got some from medical marijuana.
And we've labeled it. When we got it, we put it in a baggie, we labeled it. And so now we have the 10.
So that's what I'm going to do with the website.
Okay.
Is just when people want to go and check something out on usemybud.com, that's what'll be there. And then we'll keep this part of the channel, talking about the topics and, what we do on a weekly basis. Right. So then you'll have 2 places that you can look into and see.
And as we go forward on the YouTube, I think also it'd be smart to take our segments and make them into shorts if we can.
Yes. So. Then they will. That's actually something that I'm learning to do right now as well. So
it's a build as you go production. But thanks for being here, whether it be now or later or in the future, much later. Just know that we'll have another 420 Friday show next week.